welcome to GPE Raise Your Hand Nordic Midsummer Festival.
I'm Cynthia, and I'm joining you today from the Karura Forest in Nairobi, Kenya.
And I am Martina, by the beautiful lake Semsvannet in Oslo, Norway.
We'll be your hosts for today's exciting event.
This week, Nordics take to the beaches and meadows to officially celebrate that summer is upon us. There will be bonfires and flowers, food and drinks. It's a joyous occasion, but today is also a significant moment.
We are all here today because we share a common commitment to make sure every child has an opportunity to learn.
If the pandemic has taught us one thing, it is how the well-being of children is interconnected with their education. When schools shut down, it's not only a chance to learn that comes to a halt. Children miss out on free meals, on healthcare, on vaccinations, on safe places to play with their friends.
When schools shut down, the most vulnerable children risk never coming back to the classroom.
This is why, for this Raise Your Hand Nordic Midsummer Festival, we have gathered together champions from different sectors who all share the common goal to ensure a future for all children and to end the global learning crisis.
Because we know that ensuring no child is left behind requires transformations and partnerships beyond just education.
The global summits of 2021, the G7 summit about a week ago, the summit to replenish the Global Partnership for Education in July, and the Climate Change Conference, COP26 in November, are defining moments to create real change.
So, let's celebrate and use our collective power to build back a better, greener, fairer, and more sustainable world. This starts with a fully funded GPE. If we can raise at least $5 billion, we will be able to help a staggering 175 million more children to learn over the next 5 years.
When she raised her hand, it was to reach the highest point. When she raised her hand, it was to touch the stars, to give us a reason to dream. When he raised his hand, it was to stand up for his rights, to start over, to learn against all odds. When she raises her hand, it's to answer yes, to seize her future. Every change starts with a powerful act. Raise your hand. Fund education.
Now, here's GPE's chair, Julia Gillard, to kick off proceedings.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and an honour for me to welcome you today. The COVID-19 pandemic has not only brought on a public health crisis, it has created a massive emergency in global education and a looming economic crisis, exacerbating challenges and inequalities many countries were grappling with long before the pandemic. Millions of children's futures are at stake. Acting now is our chance to create a better tomorrow and to protect and accelerate the progress made towards the Sustainable Development Goals. The need for greater investment in education is immense. This is why we are calling on governments to step up and raise their hands and pledge at least $5 billion to GPE to ensure that no child's education is left behind. Over the next 5 years, this funding will help ensure that 175 million children can learn and enrol 88 million more children in school, including 46 million more girls. It will also have a positive impact on lives, livelihoods, and economies, all of which are improved through education, unlocking results across the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. I am thrilled to kick us off on this Raise Your Hand Nordic Midsummer Festival. and I look forward to hearing from all the global change makers who are committed to the right of education for all.
Thank you, Julia. Now, Midsummer in this region is where communities come together to celebrate as one, regardless of who they are and what they do. But equality is not a given. The first of the three main themes we will be looking at today is using education to reach the most marginalized. And now, I'm very pleased to announce UK Minister Wendy Morton.
Education enriches us. It helps us to fulfill our potential and to realise our dreams. So thank you for the chance to speak to you ahead of the Global Education Summit next month. Because the pandemic has deepened the long-running crisis in global education, and the summit is a chance for us to get it back on track. Many children around the world missed the majority of the last school year, and it has been shown that girls have been amongst the hardest to be hit. We know that investing in girls' education is the key to solving many of the world's problems. It can improve global health and save lives, and it is vital to levelling up society, to boosting incomes and to ending poverty. That is why at the recent G7 summit, the UK pledged £430 million to the Global Partnership for Education over the next 5 years, a 15% increase on our previous contribution. Because now is the time for the world to step up and to repair the fracture that the pandemic has inflicted on children's education. And so I ask all donors to pledge ambitiously to the Global Partnership for Education so they continue their vital work and help this generation catch up from COVID, fulfil their potential and realise their dreams.
Thank you, Wendy.
Now we're going to hear from Gabriela Bucher, Executive Director of OXFAM International, about the impact of the COVID pandemic on education around the world and, in particular, the Global South. Dear Gabriela, OXFAM has coined this pandemic the inequality virus. Why is that, and what has it meant for education?
This pandemic is an inequality virus. It has hit at the heart of education, and those most being impacted are the poorest people, girls, minorities, the most marginalized. The security, the sharing of meals, learning, friendships, everything that comes with being at school was ripped away for children all across the world. But for many, it has remained that way. Without access to the internet, to phones, or to radio, their schools have remained shut. Without access to vaccines for teachers, many schools do not have a hope of reopening anytime soon. So unless we act now, those hit hardest by inequality may never return to school. I'm particularly concerned with 20 million girls that may not come back to school when the pandemic ends. And we have the solution for now and for the future. Equitable education systems that are publicly funded, publicly delivered, and available for all. The income of a child's parents must not determine the education they get. Education is a right, not a privilege.
Thank you, Gabriela. Education is a right, and yet millions of children, and in particular refugees, cannot go to school. Jan, why is it critical to invest in the education of refugee children?
Nothing brings hope to conflict-plagued communities like seeing their children back to school. Education brings hope, hope for a better future for the entire community. So that is why people in war and disasters tell us we want education over and above all of the other things that we lack. And we who are working in the front lines with education, we need the Global Partnership for Education to bring us their important funding, their diplomatic support, their support to include refugee and migrant children in our educational programs. So that is why I raise my hand for education.
Thank you, Jan. The EU has made education a top priority. We are thrilled to welcome European Commissioner for International Partnership, Jutta Urpilainen, also a Finnish fellow. Jutta, why do you and the EU raise your hand for education?
Greetings from Brussels. For this year's Midsummer celebration, I raise my hand for all children to go to school and discover their dreams. I raise my hand for every girl to have equal opportunities. I raise my hand for all young people to receive the skills they need to build a better future. Education is in the heart of EU's international partnerships. We continue to support the Global Partnership for Education. We will increase our contribution to 100 million euros per year for a total of 700 million euros until 2027. As Team Europe, together with our member states, we are leading global efforts. Because quality education builds a more resilient, fair and equal societies. Hyvää juhannusta. Glad Midsummer.
Thank you, Jutta. God sankthansafton to you too. Now, Midsummer is about celebrating good health and welcoming the abundance of summer. Today, we know that health and education are inextricably linked.
When it comes to spending money on global health, immunization is one of the most worthwhile things we can do. It's crucial for achieving 14 out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, including education.
So Seth, as a global leader on health, what role does GAVI have in ensuring that the nexus between health and education remains at the top of the global agenda?
It's really great to join so many education and development champions from around the world. One of the many devastating effects of COVID has been its impact on girls. Millions of girls may never go back to school, and yet we know that educating girls saves lives. An educated girl makes more informed choices about her health and tends to get married later and bear fewer children. An educated girl will raise healthier children, because the odds of a child being vaccinated are far greater for a child whose mother has been to school. Vaccines and education are investments that go well beyond our respective sectors. They protect the very social fabric of societies and set in motion positive ripple effects for generations to come. The pandemic has wreaked havoc, and we have a social imperative to not only band together to reclaim the gains lost, but to build back better and redouble our commitment to equity. That commitment is at the core of GAVI, where we provide access of vaccines to millions of the world's most vulnerable children. The commitment to equity is also the driving force for COVAX, a global collaboration dedicated to equitable access of COVID-19 vaccines. We cannot end the pandemic until we are all safe. It is also at the core of GPE's mission, improving education systems in the world's lowest income countries to reach every child. And that is why I raise my hand for GPE, so that our collective efforts to continue to put the most vulnerable first.
Thank you, Seth. I couldn't agree more. Educating girls will have health impacts across generations. But what happens today, when children are denied their education? Let's hear from Inge of Save the Children.
For most of the past year, children have been denied the right to education and lost out of their learning, with the most marginalized children being hit the hardest. But this also comes with a cost to health. Many children rely on school for their only nutritious and healthy meal of the day. 234 million children are still missing out on crucial nutrition due to COVID-19 related school closures. Schools are also essential in protecting and promoting mental health and psychosocial well-being. For many children, the first and most accessible point of contact with health services are through schools. But education also brings benefit far beyond those who enter the school gates. Mothers who have completed primary education are 2/3 less likely to die in childbirth. And we know that education is key in vaccination uptake, with children of literate mothers 50% more likely to be immunized. Supporting the Global Partnership for Education Replenishment and getting every child safely into school and learning is critical if children are to survive and to thrive.
Thank you, Inge. This link between education and nutrition is indeed very important. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected every person in every country in the world. What sort of impact has there been on education in particular, and what needs to be done to counter this? Here's Norway's Minister of International Development, Dag Inge Ulstein.
Hello and greetings from Oslo. Here in Norway we celebrate Midsummer with a bonfire in the evening, as you can see. I'm so delighted to join the festival today. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought about a major socio-economic crisis which has amplified social and economic inequalities. School closures have in many cases stripped children of the opportunity to learn, a safe space and even meals. For girls, the probability of early marriage and early pregnancies have increased. I fear that the pandemic will have long-term consequences for education opportunities and gender equality if we don't act now. I would like to stress the importance of providing all groups with quality education, including children with disabilities. We must remember that education is a human right independently of any crisis. We must be clear that all means all. Inclusion of all must be an important part of building back better education systems for the future. This is the only way we stand a chance of achieving the Sustainable Development Goal on education.
Thank you, Minister. Now, we're going to take a short break to enjoy the first of a number of performances that would take us on a musical journey across Scandinavia. We're going to start right here in Norway with Moddi.
Hey, this is Moddi, and I too raise my hand for education. They say home is the place where your heart is. Then I am home now, though I am far away. For so long I've let deep forests guard it, and now it's begging me to stay. And I'm trying my best to be tough, to pretend I am strong and can siphon it off, but I'm not who I wanted to be. In my heart I belong in a house by the sea. They say home is a place where you're needed. Then I am home now, but I am leaving to feel my feet being kissed by the seaweed. And I'll be silent and kiss it back. This is not who I want you to see. It's just adding on weight to the darkness in me. And from the little I have understood, I believe that a house by the sea would do good. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, da-da-da. They say home is a place you can choose to be. And I've decided to carry home inside me. So it's not really as if I am leaving, no. It's more like something pulling me, 'cause fill my lungs with the sweet summer air. In my heart, in my mind, I am already there. Yeah, behind everything that I do, I just want to come home and lay down beside you. And then I'll be who I wanted to be. In my heart I belong in a house by the sea.
That was wonderful. As you can see, Midsummer is all about the open air, about celebrating nature, about marking the middle of summer and celebrating the environment around us. An environment that has never been under greater threat than today. In this segment of our program, we're going to hear from a number of people with different perspectives on the role education plays in the fight against climate change. Starting with Malloch-Brown, president of the Open Society Foundation.
Hi, it's a pleasure to celebrate this Midsummer Festival with representatives from so many organizations and people from so many parts of the world. Students and young people have been really the conscience of all of us in the way they've mobilized around the issues of a sustainable planet, calling attention to the climate crisis and putting pressure on global leaders to act big and to act now. But why is it that climate is on the street and not in our classrooms? An issue which combines the human sciences, the social sciences, all kinds of categories of learning and knowledge, and which is at the center of the policy dilemmas and the living dilemmas that today's young men and women will face throughout adulthood. Why is it not at the core of our classroom curriculums, both for its fascination, in its interdisciplinary nature, and for its importance in terms of the world that our children will live in? Girls' education, of course, is a real part of this, with women and girls having been a critical part of that conscience raising. And so today the Open Society Foundations are thrilled to announce a pledge to the Global Education Partnership's Girls' Education Accelerator of $1 million. We hope it will play a crucial part in allowing girls and women to take their place in both the classroom and in the street to bring this global crisis to an end.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much on behalf of GPE and all the girls and boys whose lives you are going to help.
After this exciting announcement, I am pleased to introduce our next guest, Suzanne Ehlers, CEO of the Malala Fund. Suzanne, GPE's strengthened focus on gender equality, the creation of the Girls' Education Accelerator, and the commitment we just heard from the Open Society Foundation to this accelerator are particularly important in today's environment. Why is that?
Whether it's climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic, or the global education crisis, we know that young women and girls are the most impacted. 130 million girls were out of school before the pandemic even started, and 20 million more girls may never go back to school once it's over. Malala Fund estimates that by 2025, climate-related events will prevent 12.5 million girls from learning each year. And yet, girls' education is one of the most powerful interventions to combat climate change. Investments in gender-equal green learning reduce climate-related deaths, reduce carbon emissions, and help communities better adapt. Education also equips girls with the skills they need to secure future green jobs. This helps countries build stronger, low-carbon economy and create a more equal workforce. Ensuring that girls can learn and lead is fundamental for a greener, fairer, and more sustainable future. To help girls and our planet, leaders need to make ambitious investments in gender-equal climate education. Young people around the world are calling for this change. Malala Fund hears them and supports them. Thank you.
And thank you to you too. Now, what role can teachers play in helping to tackle climate change? Here's one inspirational story from Kenya featuring the 2019 Global Teacher Prize winner, Peter Tabichi.
Students in this school face so many challenges. They come from very poor families. Even affording breakfast is hard. When they are in school, they are not able to concentrate mainly because they are not able to get enough meals at home. Lare area experiences famine every 3 to 4 years. Food insecurity is a major problem, and teaching the members within this community on new ways of farming is a matter of life and death.
Kwa sababu unaweza kupanda mimea hapa. We are now heading into the dry season. He trained us the alternative ways of growing vegetables. That garden will take very little water, and it uses a very small portion of land.
So as a teacher, I just want to have a positive impact, not only in my country, even the whole of Africa.
What an amazing story! Now, let's go to Karin Isaksson from the Nordic Development Fund, who has a message for girls everywhere.
Glad Midsommar! In the Nordic countries we celebrate Midsummer to celebrate the long days and the light after several months of darkness and cold weather during the winter. Midsummer is also a celebration of fertility and to celebrate the gifts of nature. We have a tradition that if you go out and pick 7 flowers and you put them under your pillow, you will dream about your future wife or husband, and this is something that I think that you could all try. While dreams are important, it's also very important to have facts and analysis. This will enable you to speak with a strong voice. So to all girls and young women, my message is, education is the key. This will help you to get the facts, it will enable you to do the analysis, it will give you the confidence to speak up. So to all girls and women, make your voices heard, and together we can fight climate change and we can give back to nature.
Thank you for this rallying cry. Every change starts with a powerful act. Now, I am pleased to introduce Per Olsson Frid, Minister for International Development in Sweden. Dear Minister, what role does GPE play in building back better?
Thank you for the crucial question. Climate change and biodiversity loss are the most urgent issues of our time. Protecting life on Earth, stopping global degradation of biodiversity and ecosystem loss is central to avoid pandemics and become resilient to climate change. Education is a powerful enabler to provide us with knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes to become agents of change for sustainable development. Knowledge and education are essential for critical thinking, inclusive engagement in society, and political involvement. And in line with SDG 4 on quality education, Global Partnership for Education has an important role to promote sustainable development as a foundational element and core curriculum at all levels of education systems. As a key donor to Global Partnership for Education, the Swedish government values the focus on support to resilient national education systems. I would also like to recognize the quick and apt response by Global Partnership for Education to the COVID-19 pandemic. Getting children and youth back to school is paramount. The COVID-19 pandemic has pushed back development gains, affecting poverty, health, education, gender equality, democracy, and human rights. And we must join forces and fight the pandemic together in solidarity across nations and build back better and greener. Attaining the SDGs and the Paris Agreement requires urgent action, innovative measures, and brave political and economic decisions. Investing in education and transformative learning is a necessity for our survival and for future generations. Let us raise our hands for learning. The time to learn and act for our planet is now.
Thank you, Minister Olsson, and to all our other contributors. Now it's time for another musical interlude, this time from Sweden. I'm really excited to be able to welcome Lisa Ajax.
I raise my hand for that all children of the world should be able to go to school, and that's what Global Partnership of Education works for.
Vad är det som händer? Hur ska jag förstå? Någon som drar mitt hjärta nu när jag saknar så. Ögonblick av lycka som för alltid känns. Känner att den värld jag önskar är utan tid och gräns. Känner en doft av kärleken.
That was fantastic! What a great midsummer performance by a talented young woman. Proof that every woman and girl can succeed even in the face of persistent gender barriers.
Good quality public education made available to everybody can be a powerful engine for greater equality between women and men. It can help tackle gender disparities in wages, poverty, reproductive autonomy, and political power. It can also dramatically improve the health outcomes for women and their children. That is what we will discuss now, starting with Minister Vielä Skinnari from Finland on his thoughts as to why gender equality in education is important to Finland. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you for your question and greetings from a Finnish sauna, one of our important midsummer traditions. In Finland we say that in the sauna we are all equal. An equal and inclusive society should be a key objective for all nations. Education plays an essential role. When a girl goes to school and not only learns fundamental skills but becomes aware of her rights and possibilities, it is the whole society that benefits. Gender equality in education opens doors to well-being, to productivity, and to new solutions and innovations. That is why, in order to build back better from COVID-19 pandemic, it's critical to increase financing for education, especially in the poorest countries. And that is why in our development cooperation we focus on access to quality education, especially for girls and those in most vulnerable position, such as persons with disabilities. The best way to do this is to strengthen education systems and their inclusiveness. GPE is a key actor, and Finland is very glad to support GPE's valuable work with 25 million euros during the next 5 years. I raise my hand from sauna to GPE and to education, and I wish you all a happy midsummer.
Thank you, Minister. Achieving gender equality in and through education is at the heart of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Only when gender equality is part of the DNA of education systems will we be able to deliver more equitable results for girls.
Before the pandemic, many children in Nigeria weren't in school. Today, even more have dropped out and are at risk of never coming back. So, we are going to turn to Minister of State for Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, to hear of his efforts to protect the education of the most vulnerable children and how GPE supported these efforts.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the GEP program. We at the Federal Ministry of Education are quite grateful to UNICEF and all our partners, especially for the GEP program. Reaching a number of children around the country, this resource has enabled the effort, especially during this pandemic outbreak. And this COVID-19 had challenged us in the areas of school shutdowns and the way our teachers responded at various states. So the 16 focal states have had the benefit of using this facility to expand the scope of online teaching, expand the scope of teacher presence, expand the scope of children participation and checking out learning outcomes. So we, in a lot of ways, believe that this program needs to be expanded and then be used to further deepen the way we engage our children around the country. If given an opportunity, I think the program can then be scaled up or retooled or refocused in towards some of the main other challenges, which is children without platforms, children without bandwidth, children without access to a centralized way of learning. So, as a program, the GP program has actually enabled quite a bit, but it also leaves also some possibility to then expand what we can do with it.
Thank you, Minister. It's good to hear a concrete example of the power of partnerships. At the heart of building a more equal world is the need to shift unequal power dynamics. Education is key to this, but it's not enough on its own. We need Bianima, Executive Director of UNAIDS. What is needed to create an effective change and help every girl achieve her full potential?
Greetings in this wonderful season. Did you know that around the world 6,200 girls and young women get HIV every week? And did you know that in Africa, out of every 6 adolescents who get infected with HIV, 5 of them are girls? It's unacceptable. And you know why? It's because of unequal power. We have come together to change this. UNAIDS, UNFPA, UNICEF, UN Women, and UNESCO. Together with our partners and with girls' movements in Africa, we are working to support governments to make schools the safe spaces, empowering spaces where every girl can be free from violence, healthy, protected from HIV, and can finish school. We are campaigning for free universal secondary education that ensures that girls are healthy, have their well-being, equality, and are empowered. That's why I raised my hand for GPE's financing campaign. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Winnie. Now let us hear directly from girls in Kenya whose schools have been disrupted in the last year due to COVID or because of climate events.
I walk every day 30 minutes to reach my school. It's a long walk, but I know it is worth it. My favorite part of the day is when I follow math classes. My dream is to become a journalist. That's why I have learned English by myself during school closure, thanks to the textbook I received. Without that, I would have lost 7 months of potential learning. Now I can only improve thanks to my teachers. My favorite one is Lynette. I enjoy listening to her when she takes us around the world, and I learn and dream at the same time. While my classmates play, I keep on reading cause I don't want to lose time. I am the last after 4 brothers, and I want my mother to be proud of me. A girl with a dream, a girl that every day is able to raise her hand and say, I am here.
One of the issues many girls face when trying to complete an education is child marriage. I am excited to welcome the chair of Girls Not Brides, Mabel van Oranje, who will tell us how child marriage affects educational outcomes for girls and how education affects child marriage.
12 million girls get married every year before the age of 18, and that number is increasing because of COVID. Now we know that child brides almost always have to leave school, if they ever were allowed to go to school. Similarly, we also know that when schooling is not available for girls, the chances that they will end up in a child marriage are much higher. So these issues of girls' education and child marriage, they really come together. And if we want to create a world where every girl can go to school, we have therefore to tackle child marriage at the same time. That's why I'm delighted that the Global Partnership for Education and Girls Not Brides, the global partnership of civil society organizations working to end child marriage, are working together to tackle this problem in an integrated way. Don't we all want to see every girl, wherever she lives in this world, walk to school and not down the aisle? Let girls be girls, not brides. I raise my hand to plead for a fully funded GPE replenishment conference.
Thank you so much for that. Now it's time for our musical journey to take us to Finland with the multi-talented Ida Elena.
Dear ladies, dear gentlemen, my name is Ida Elena and I'm raising my hand for the children and for education. And I'm so happy and proud to be part of GPE's Midsummer event this year. And I'm so happy to see that you have joined the event as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish you have a wonderful midsummer. Let's keep up the good work for the children, for education, for a better future. And this one's for you.
Sunny summer days, oh how swiftly they fly by. I don't wanna close my eyes, 'cause I found the perfect rhyme. For a moment, the whole world and all its thrill is standing still. For a moment, the world is mine, and I'll always remember this time before the sunrise. Before the sunrise. I only heard of a love so fierce and strong, burning in your soul. Your hand in mine, and now I know. I doubt that my poor heart will never be the same, but wouldn't change today if only we could stay this way. For a moment, the whole world and all its thrill is standing still. For a moment, the world is mine, and I'll always remember this time before the sunrise. Hey, before the sunrise. Before the sunrise. Hey, before the sunrise. For a moment, the whole world and all its thrill is standing still. For a moment, the world is mine, and I'll always remember this time before the sunrise. Hey, before the sunrise. Before the sunrise. Before the sunrise. Before the sunrise.
What a brilliant performance. Now, times of great crisis often put women on the front lines. Women predominate in many key roles as nurses, teachers, social workers, and caregivers. Plan International has long advocated for women's empowerment and participation. Why, in their view, is this more crucial now than ever before? Here's their chair, Gunvor Kronman.
The COVID-19 crisis has hit girls and young women around the world particularly hard, with as much as 20 million girls at risk never returning to schools. This will further entrench gender gaps in education and undermine girls' long-term opportunities. After a year of interrupted education, we cannot let girls fall behind, especially when the climate crisis will disrupt education even more and exacerbate existing inequalities. We need to invest in gender transformative education that will tackle harmful gender norms, provide girls with leadership skills, and empower them to take personal and collective action to overcome injustice and demand systematic change. Most importantly, we need to see girls and young women shaping education systems and directly represented in decision-making spaces. No one knows better what girls need than girls themselves. This means shifting power to them by listening to them and treating them as leaders and decision makers in their own right. 2021 presents a clear opportunity to build back equal, stronger, more resilient education systems that empower girls and young women to claim and exercise their rights. I raise my hand for GPE because by harnessing the transformative gender power of education, we can collectively build a more gender just and inclusive world.
Thank you, Gunvor. Let us now finish our Scandinavian musical odyssey in Denmark with the amazing Bathsheba.
It's okay, I'm up and away, just trying to get good with me. I can't keep on fighting for your love. I'm lost in disappointment once again. I've cried you a river and I still ain't good enough. I'm tired of you running away. Can't keep on fighting for your love. Can't keep on fighting for your love. Can't keep on fighting for your love. Can't keep on fighting for your love.
Alright, and who have we got here? These Lady B, the favorite Lady B. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, what you want?
That was fantastic. Now, staying in Denmark, we know the country promotes gender equality both within and through education. But what exactly does this mean? Who better to ask than Minister Flemming Moller Mortensen and John Goodwin, CEO of the Lego Foundation.
Hello from Copenhagen. I'm very happy to be part of your festival. And thank you for the question. To me, gender equality in education means that teachers and school books should challenge gender roles and stereotypes that prevent girls from reaching their potential. And gender equality through education, it means that the right education can transform societies. For each year a girl goes to school, her expected life income increases 10 to 20%. And at the same time, education can prevent child marriage, gender-based violence, and teenage pregnancies. Quality education is an essential tool to develop equal societies where girls and boys, women and men have equal rights and opportunities. I raise my hand for GPE. We are partners in promoting the power of education has to achieve gender equality. And speaking of partnership, I will now hand over to our playful friend at the Lego Foundation. I know the CEO, John Goodwin, is waiting with a message.
Thanks so much, Flemming Moller Mortensen. This is definitely something we at the Lego Foundation want to build on. In fact, I see all of the critical topics discussed today as essential building blocks that must come together to build a future with inclusive access to quality education for all children. At the Lego Foundation, we truly believe that we can create the biggest impact for children if we work together and go in the same direction. A genuine collaborative spirit, a commitment to co-creation and appropriate resourcing will get us far. Therefore, on behalf of the Lego Foundation, I'm delighted to announce that, subject to confirmation of suitable funding opportunities, the Lego Foundation intends to contribute $23 million to the GPE Fund to work in partnership to systemically reach children with learning through play and a breadth of skills development. $3 million in support of GPE's knowledge and innovation exchange in the area of learning through play in early childhood education and primary teacher professional development, and $20 million to be used to unlock a corresponding amount from GPE's matching facility for multiplier funding. We raise our hand and pledge to the GPE fund because, like the Lego Foundation, GPE believes in education system transformation, and that in order to meet the challenges of the 21st century, we need to set the foundations for lifelong learning by expanding high-quality opportunities for children to learn through play early in their lives, to ensure that they've got the breadth of skills they need for the future. With our pledge, we also hope to inspire others, governments and private foundations, to join forces through the Global Partnership for Education to maximise the impact we all want to see, to give as many children as possible the opportunity to receive quality education and fulfil the objectives of SDG 4.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, I just had the best idea ever. We need a lunchroom, we need a bathroom, a swing. You can sit on a swing like this. Good idea. Obstacle courses are amazing, and I need to learn how to be fast. Games, but like playing in a mathy way. Some grown-ups. We'll learn stuff by doing things. Okay, I made a teacher right here. She's super happy. Me and Jens are gonna work together. If you're alone, then it takes longer. And if you're in a group, it takes faster and it's more teamwork. And you wouldn't have probably made as good as you were alone. We're done. This is the coolest place I would like to.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Lego Foundation. I have just heard that you still have a special message from Norway.
Education is our most powerful tool to achieve equal opportunities for all. Yet 258 million children were out of school before COVID-19 struck, and millions of children are in danger of not returning to school because of the pandemic. It is time for the international community to act on our commitments to assure quality education for all children. Norway is a long-term supporter of the Global Partnership for Education and was the third largest donor in the last replenishment period. We will strengthen our commitment to the partnership even further in the forthcoming period. Norway will support the GPE with 3.7 billion Norwegian krone between 2021 and 2025. And this represents an increase of 50 million krone a year compared to a support in the previous period. For Norway, the Global Partnership for Education is a really essential partner. We believe that GPE will play a crucial role in building strong, inclusive and resilient educational systems and in ensuring the right to education of all children in the world. I would like to call on the international community to step up the efforts to fund the GPE, and I raised my hand for the GPE.
That's so amazing! Thank you so much, Norway. It's great to see your leadership here.
Absolutely exciting news. Thanks. I hope other donors will follow the leadership and commitment to education displayed in today's event. We're now at the end of this exciting GPE Raise Your Hand Nordic Midsummer Festival. I hope you also enjoyed it as much as we did.
So many exciting contributions and commitments. You've all helped to bring to life what we are trying to achieve and how important the Global Partnership for Education is. We'll see you again at the Global Education Summit on 28th and 29th of July. Until then, ha det bra!
Now we would like to hand back to Julia to close the festival. Kwaheri!
Thank you, Cynthia and Martine, for the wonderful moderation. Thanks to all participants, education champions and artists who have joined us in today's Raise Your Hand Midsummer Festival. Thank you to the Open Society Foundations and the Lego Foundation for the financial commitments. A special thank you to Norway for its fantastic political and financial leadership on global education and GPE. Prime Minister Solberg and Minister Ulstein are strong champions for education and extraordinary supporters of GPE. And also a special thank you to European Commissioner for International Partnerships, Ms. Jutta Urpilainen, and to the President of the European Commission, Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, for the impressive pledge from the European Commission and global commitment to education and GPE. We now have a little more than 1 month to go until the Global Education Summit on July 28th and 29th. I hope to see you all at the summit. Until then, don't stop fighting for a quality education for every child. The future of millions of children depends on it.